Hey guys, it's Carrie, and in this video we're going to be making a Pokedex. So let's get started. Everyone's going to be starting off with the same starter file here, which contains only a list of Pokemon. So the first thing that you're going to have to do, and it will look different on your computer than mine, is you'll have to fork this code so that you have your own copy. So I'm going to go here and then fork. And I'm going to call this Pokedex. And for me, it's number 2 because I had a different version of it, but I think I'm going to like this future version better. All right, so now when I've forked this, you can tell that you have your own copy. It will say your name here and then / Pokedex. And then in the JavaScript, you'll have this huge list of Pokemon already built for you. I think it's 151 Pokemon because it goes up to Mew. So I hope you guys like Pokemon. It was a show that was super popular when I was a kid, but I think it continues to be really popular through all of its games. Let's take a look at what we're going to be building today. So I'm going to pop open the code, get set up here, and if we go into the JavaScript console here, we've actually got the array of Pokemon that's being logged to the console. And if you drop it down, you'll see all the Pokemon. All right, so let's start the same way that we always do, ignoring the JavaScript and going into our HTML and building some HTML. So we'll do div.content. We'll throw inside of that div an h1 that says Pokedex. You can throw a bunch of things in here, but what I'm thinking about is putting a paragraph. And then it says here, look up a Pokemon by number. And then inside of that paragraph, it will have, because I want it in the same row, it will have an input element with type equal to text. Now, it's been a while since we've worked with input elements, so let's just remind ourselves what they look like. Input elements are these where you can type in a number. I like to use the text input, even though this is a number. For some reason, I don't like the numerical inputs, but that's okay. It will still work fine, so I'm going to continue to use the text one. All right, next up, we're going to have an empty paragraph here. And this will, actually, let me start this off by putting an ID on it. And I'll call it Pokemon name, not number. And it will start off, I guess, with the first Pokemon, Bulbasaur. And we're also going to have an image. And I found this cool website. And when I go and I open the images in a new tab, what I thought was especially cool about it is that it doesn't actually have the Pokemon name in the link. So the link is really easy to work with because the only thing that changes as we change Pokemon is this number at the end. And changing numbers feels a lot easier than changing words. So I'm going to grab this link here. And I'll put that as the source of the image. So let's take a look at how my Pokedex is looking. I think it's coming out excellent. All right, so what we're going to do here is we'll type in a number 3. I need a button. So in that same tab, or in that same paragraph, I guess this paragraph is becoming kind of complicated. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to put in the same paragraph. I'm going to have a lookup button. So let's see. We know that we can put enters inside of a paragraph, and it won't actually change the structure. So by putting those enters there, it doesn't actually change how it looks, but it gives me a little bit more room to see within this one line paragraph. I'd also like to put a button that says look up. And now when they click the lookup button, it will read whatever number is here, and it will show us that Pokemon number. All right, so I think this is going to be fun. Let's make some style, though. All right, so thinking about style, I'm going to close down the JavaScript console because it's hard to style with that. I'm going to be styling the body. I'm going to be styling the content. And I'm also going to be, let's see, well, I'll start with this. I think I'm going to make the body red. Oh. You can tell that I'm just waking up right now because I just literally typed red. I'm going to make the body red, and I'll make the background of the Pokedex, the content, yellow. Let's see how that looks. All right, starting to look pretty good. We'll make the width of the Pokedex fixed to something like 600 pixels. And then I'm going to center the Pokedex by doing a margin auto. Now that it has a fixed width, it will auto-calculate the margins on the side to put in the middle. All right, that looks good. I'm going to do a text align, center. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to change Bulbasaur, I think, from being what it is, which is a paragraph. I think Bulbasaur would look better as an H3, something with a little bit more oomph. There we go, that looks better. All right, cool, cool, cool. I'm actually going to also add a line. I think I can add a line somehow. How can I add a horizontal line? Horizontal line, HTML. HR. Okay, cool. Horizontal rule. Let's see how this looks. So between the search and then the Pokemon, I'm going to add this new tag called an HR. All right, I like that better because then it separates the user interaction piece with the Pokedex or Pokemon that's being displayed. Going back to the styling, let's add some padding on this, 10 pixels, a border radius to make it look a little bit, border radius to make it look more, I don't know, softer, I guess, the border radius feels like. I don't know what the right word is, but I think it looks cooler. And then we'll add a box shadow. 1 pixel, 1 pixel. Oh, I don't mean to turn my brightness down. 10 pixels, RGB A 0, 0, 0, 0.3. So a black, because all the channels are 0 for the color, but then mostly translucent because the alpha channel is close to 0. Border radius or box shadow. And I think I'm ready to start coding the JavaScript. So let me pop over to the JavaScript. We've got this giant list of Pokemon, and what are we going to be doing with it? Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to type in a number, press lookup. Okay, and now we're going to load the data. So typing in the number is super easy to work with, I guess, something that we've done a lot of times. We need to select the elements on the page that we're going to be interacting with. And in this case, it's almost every element on the page. So let's see, we want this input box. So let's let input box equal document dot query selector, the thing of type input, so there's no hashtag on that. We also want the button to equal document dot query selector, the only button on the page, so we'll not use any hashtags for IDs there. We're going to select the image, let image equal document dot query selector, and the image is of type IMG. It's the only IMG on the page, so we can do it like that. And then we can do Bulbasaur. This word is also going to be changing. I think I gave this one an ID. Okay, Pokemon name. Cool. So let's let Pokemon name equal document dot query selector. And this one we're actually going to use the hashtag because it is using the ID Pokemon name to select it. So let me open up the JavaScript console in the full screen version, which will display extra errors. And let me do a refresh here. And there's no errors, which is great. All right, so I'm going to leave that JavaScript console open so that as we program, it will trigger the errors. So let's add an event listener to our button so that when we click it, something happens. You could do this using the toolbox, but I think since I don't have the toolbox open, this is just as fast to do from memory for me. So when we click the button, we're gonna have something happen. So let's make sure that our button is working. I'm gonna do console.log Pokemon, and that should log the entire list of Pokemon. When we click the button, sick, it works. All right, so our button's working. So then the next thing that we want to do is we don't actually want to do that. What we want to do is we want to look up the number that's here. So if they type 5, when we press look up, instead of printing the list of Pokemon, let's just get the number 5. So let's let Pokemon, or let's let input value equal. We're going to go to the input box, which we defined here as input box. And this is in our JavaScript toolbox, but it's been a while since we've used it. We're going to take the value from it. And then let's just make sure that that's working. Let's do a console.log input value. So now if we put 3 here, it should log 3. Sick. 4 here should log 4. 550 number, it should log that number. Great. So everything is working. It reads the data properly. All right, so let's see. One thing that we might have to worry about here is the input value. Because I chose a text type input, I think it's reading this as a string. So I'm going to convert this to a number. So I'm going to say let input value equal the number version of itself. So read the value from the text box, or the input box, and convert it to a number. All right. Now the next thing is going to be to turn this into a Pokemon. So let's see. Turn this into and display the name of the Pokemon. So to display the name of the Pokemon, let's see what happens. We have a bit of a problem here. I'm going to say let Pokemon selected, because I've already used the word Pokemon name here to refer to this spot. So I'm going to say the selected Pokemon will be go into the Pokemon list and then pick out the Pokemon that's located at the input value, since that's going to be a number. So if they type 1, I'm imagining that it will look up the first Pokemon in this list. And then I'm going to do, well, I don't think I have to do a console.log. I think that I can just put this Pokemon into this spot here. So this spot is called Pokemon name. And I'm going to make the text that's inside of that, the inner HTML of this element, equal to the Pokemon that's selected. So as a quick demo about what's happening here before we run it, if we type in Pokemon, it gives us the whole list. If we type in Pokemon, I don't know, Pokemon 2 or something, it should go into the list, and using these square brackets, it will give us the second Pokemon from the list. And if we change this number, it will give us the third, fourth, fifth. This is exactly what I'm doing here, but instead of putting a specific number here, we're putting the input value that the user wrote here that we just got. All right, so let me refresh it. So then Pokemon number, I guess 1 is Ivysaur. Cool, it changes. 2 is Venusaur. 3 is Charmander. And we run into kind of this classic problem with the list. In human vocabulary, we think about Pokemon as Bulbasaur as the first Pokemon in the list. But we know in JavaScript that lists start with 0. So Bulbasaur is actually the 0th Pokemon. Now this is going to create a bit of a problem with us because you'll notice that the images use the human numbered numbers. So here Bulbasaur is Pokemon number 1. So whenever we work with lists, we have a really common problem, which is we need to work kind of in two modes, list mode and then real life mode. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change my code. So I'm going to say, this is the input value. The Pokemon that we select should be the Pokemon from the list, not at the input value, 0. But when we type in 1, I want to get Bulbasaur. So instead of looking up the Pokemon that's at spot number 1, I want to look up the Pokemon that's at 1 less. So here what we'll do is we'll say Pokemon selected is the Pokemon that's at the input value minus 1. Because when we type in 1, I don't want it to correspond to Ivysaur. I want it to correspond to this spot minus 1. I want 1 to be Bulbasaur. So by subtracting 1 from the number, it will make it Bulbasaur. So when we type in 1 now, it stays Bulbasaur. 2, it's going to look up Pokemon 2 minus 1, which is 0, 1, Ivysaur. So 2 should still be Ivysaur now, which is good, because in the pictures, 2 is Ivysaur. And here, let's see, 4 I think is Charmander. Yeah, sweet. So when we're going to look up 4, now it should go 4, and then it's going to look up, it's going to select the Pokemon with input value 4, minus 1, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So 4 does connect to Charmander. Sweet. All right, so the last thing that's left is to look at the pictures. So to change the pictures, it's actually pretty easy because of this URL. You'll notice that all I was changing was the number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the starting part of this URL right here. And I'm going to say, actually outside of the click event, let URL start equal the string here. And then I'm going to say let URL end equal this part here, .png. And then the only thing that changes is in between start and end, we can change the number here to be a different Pokemon by changing the number to like 150 for Mewtwo or whatever. Now it's really tricky, well, it's a little bit tricky because you'll notice that the zeros change, so that's always 3 digits long. So we'll have to worry about that. Psyduck is funny. All right, so what we'll have to do is we'll say, if the value of number is less than 10, meaning that it has 1 digit, then we want to let the final URL equal the final URL equal URL start, which will be this chunk here, plus 2 zeros, because when it's less than 10, if we need to have the 2 zeros for it to load, 002 works, but just 2, you'll notice does not work. So we'll put 00, so URL start, plus 00, plus the input value that they typed. So when they type 1, it will be 001, and then plus the URL end, which is here. So that will be the URL. All right, now we'll have an else if. So if the number is now less than 100, it will be 2 digits. So to make it into a 3-digit number, for Psyduck, we needed to have not 54, but 054. So we'll do URL plus 10 plus the input value plus URL end. And then finally, if it's anything else, meaning that it's a number bigger than 100, it will be 3 digits. We'll let the URL equal URL start with no extra zeros. So if it's bigger than 100, 146, it just straight up works with no zeros. So we'll just put the input value there plus the URL. And so now that we've got the URLs, all that we need to do to fix the picture is we're just going to change in the image this source to be the new link. So regardless of how we computed the link, what we'll do is we'll say image.source is equal to the new URL. Actually, I'm going to put that inside of each of these. Image.source, so the source of the image will be this new URL that we built. All right, so let's see if our Pokedex works. All right, refreshed. All right, I'm going to leave the console open. 1 is Bulbasaur. Uncaught reference error. Number is not defined. When did I type number? In what line? Line 22. If number. Oh, sorry. All of these places that say number here and here, it should say if input value is less than 10, because input value is the number that's here. So let's refresh it. So Venusaur, and then the picture changes. I know 4 is Charizard. I know 54 is, I think it's Psyduck. Yeah, sweet. So it worked. I know 150 is Mewtwo. Awesome. So it's working. Everything is great. Now, it will actually not work properly for 152. You'll notice that it gives you undefined here because our list doesn't go up to 152 Pokemon. But the picture still works because the website here does change. But anyway, you can have fun from the Pokemon between 0 and 150, or sorry, 1 and 151. And you can look them up here. And it works. All right. So I think we've made a really cool functioning Pokedex that displays the images and names of the first 150 Pokemon. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in class. Bye.